Hello from our land in Alentejo, Portugal. We're Calla and Jon, and back in 2021, we moved our family to Portugal. We shared with you in another video the top 10 reasons why we chose Portugal. And in today's video, we would love to share with you how we narrowed down which area of Portugal we actually ended up in. A quick little backstory, we were living near Geneva, Switzerland, but on the French side. And during the pandemic, we got 3 months notice to move out of our house, and we just decided to get rid of most of our things, pack up our car, our 2 kids, our dog, and drive to Portugal and then figure it out as we went. So Jon's going to take over and share with you why we chose this area.
Okay, so when we moved to Portugal, we started by renting an Airbnb on the Silver Coast, north of Lisbon, more or less 1 hour north of Lisbon, in the area of Salir do Porto. We stayed there about 9 months before we moved to our current house.
We really liked that area. It was nice being on the coast. There was a good expat community and things like that. The downsides that we found to that area were that it was very windy, which is funny because right now it's very windy when we film this. And it was very moist and humid. So during the fall, winter, you could just see the moisture on the walls. Yeah.
It's really stunning though. São Martinho do Porto, that shell-shaped bay is magical.
Yeah.
There is the big sand dunes on the Salir do Porto side, with the river going all the way to the beach, and the beach is just perfect for families because the water goes down super slowly. Water is great.
Yeah, the
There's
boys
no
loved
current.
playing there. It was the best place to take the boys. They would have so much fun there. It was a nice place to take Jack the dog for a run. Yeah,
it's truly magical.
It was a very awesome. Yeah, we loved that place.
It's just too windy, the humidity as well, and also the price.
Yeah,
because it's becoming a very, very expensive area. Because of that, it's on the coast. You have the beach. It's beautiful, and it's not far from Lisbon, so it's getting really expensive. Yeah. So when we were living there, we explored. Not every weekend, but as much as we could. We would just take the car, drive around, visit properties. And we focused our research on the Alentejo region where we live now. Because we basically proceeded by deduction. We took each region and started to do some research and see, okay, this would work, this would not work, etc. So the first region was the north of Portugal. It's closer to France and Switzerland, where we have a lot of friends and some families. So we felt like it could be a great option to be closer to the border with France. But we quickly realized that because of the climate, so it's still Portugal, so it's a lot of sun, but there is so much humidity. We didn't really feel like living in a climate that was so humid. There is a lot of mold issues in the houses in the north of Portugal. It was also something that was a bit of a concern for us. So very quickly, this part of Portugal, we felt like, okay, let's not try to find a place there.
But beautiful place to visit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because when we basically drove down the first time from France to arrive in Portugal, we drove through the north of Portugal, through the Douro region, the wine region, and it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's
so
mind-blowing
gorgeous.
How beautiful it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we loved that.
But
we really
very
loved
hilly.
That. Then comes the center of Portugal. So central Portugal is maybe a tiny bit less humid, but there is a huge red flag for us. It's the eucalyptus plantations, and doubled with that the mining concerns for lithium and other minerals, which is also the case in northern Portugal, by the way. But central Portugal, with the extent of the eucalyptus monoculture plantation, And we've seen the history of the country with the huge wildfire in 2017, for example, and the recurrence of the forest fires. We've seen, that it's a huge problem in Portugal. Most of those fires are not nature-based, but accidental or criminal, and the consequences are, of course, really terrible. So we just felt it's too dangerous. It's not safe to live, because we wanted, of course, to have a big piece of land to live in nature, kind of in the middle of nowhere. We felt like, okay, if we live in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by eucalyptus plantations, it's too dangerous. If something happens, if the fire starts, it's too dangerous. We actually visited a property a bit more south, but still that was, I think it was near, I think it was called Sarzedas. It's not too far from Castelo Branco, if I remember correctly. And when we arrived at this property, it was a path down, like a dirt path down, and the property was at the bottom of a valley, surrounded only by eucalyptus plantations. And it was the only path to reach the property. There was no exit on the other side. So we liked the setup of the property itself. There was some fruit trees, there was a little seasonal river, the ruin to renovate. So it has some charm, but we felt, okay, if there is a fire, we are completely stuck. We are completely at risk, because there was no exit except the one crossing the monoculture of eucalyptus. So anyway, central and northern Portugal, we decided to not go for these regions. We can actually show, maybe or put a link in the description, there is a great map of the mining projects in Portugal, where you can see the projects that are already in place and active, but you can also see the areas where they submitted a request for exploration. And so when I saw this map, I realized that there were so many parts of central and northern Portugal that were kind of at risk for that I felt, okay, let's not take that risk. Because if you live in the countryside, in the middle of nowhere, in an area where there is minerals in the ground, potentially you take the risk that someday a company comes and buys everything and kick you out in order to start a new mine. Then, of course, there was Lisbon area. Very easy to take it out of our reflection, because way too expensive, way too many people, less nature. I mean, there are still great nature parts of the region of Lisbon, but overall it was not what we wanted, because it's just too dense and too expensive. And generally speaking, we also took all the coast of Portugal out of our searches, because it's way more expensive than inland and way more windy than inland. Finally, there was Algarve, and Algarve also very quickly we said, okay, it's way too touristy, most parts of Algarve. If you go inland like a lot, where it starts to get more like mountains, it's not dense at all. But the coast area, it's very, very touristy and also very expensive. At least for our budget, it was too expensive for us. So took that off as well. So basically we were left with Alentejo, which is this big grey area here. So Alentejo goes from the coast to the border with Spain. So it's a huge region of Portugal. It's basically the Beja administrative region, and is composed of many different councils, like all the regions of Portugal. So in Alentejo, our only decision was not to go for the coast because of the wind and the prices. So we focused our search on inland Alentejo.
So there are many of you who actually live in Portugal as well, and if in the comments you want to write why you chose the area that you chose, that just informs the people who watch this video for other things. We're just telling what works for us, everything, there's things that work differently for everybody. So if you love the area you're in, like, share it in the comments so that other people can read that.
Yeah, every person and family have different criteria for sure. But for us, it was definitely like, because we felt it could be a very long-term project to live here. We tried to see, okay, what are the risks also, besides the money, of course, besides the budget, what are the risks that could make it not great to live in our house long term? And we felt like, okay, humidity and mold, really not great, hard to fight. Wind, if you are in a windy area on a windy land, you are not going to change the wind. The mining, we felt also very big risk. Like, if you create your own little corner of paradise over 10 years, planting tons of tree, and suddenly they knock at your door and you're, how do you say, exproprié?
Evicted?
You're evicted because the government agreed for this company to start mining your mountain. Voila, big risk. And of course the eucalyptus, also very, very big risk. On top of that, also we can say the eucalyptus, on top of the wildfire risk, is also an issue for biodiversity, wildlife in general. And because we are so much into that, we love so much wildlife, birds and everything, we wanted to be surrounded by an ecosystem that's actually rich, or at least not as depleted as the eucalyptus plantations are.
Yeah. And I mean, we're slowly working towards creating our own little nature reserve here. And it's just because we only have one eucalyptus on our land.
And we love it, actually.
Yeah, we love it. It's beautiful.
The problem is always monoculture,
Yeah.
basically. Like, if you have one eucalyptus, it's great. If you have 10, it's fine. But if you start to only have that on your land, it's a problem. And we've seen also many other similar projects. Even on YouTube, there is, for example, Project Camp. They bought a piece of land where part of it is eucalyptus plantation and mimosa. And they, little by little, they started to clear the land to recreate a native forest. So it's also an idea. But of course, you cannot control all the risks. So you never know what's gonna happen in the future. But at least we felt, okay, it's a huge move. We want to have our family. We want to grow our kids here for many years potentially. So let's try to pick up a place where we minimize all of these risks that are out of our power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That being said, the area that we are in, the temperatures are very high. It gets very dry in summer, so it is considered a higher risk fire area, but there barely are any because everybody takes it very seriously, and
there's no forests as well. There's no forest. It's like dotted trees, and the species are mostly olive trees and oak trees that are actually pretty resistant to wildfire. So I think one day I talked to one neighbor, and he said, I think that the last significant fire in our area was 40 years ago. And unfortunately, we've seen, since we are here, so like 3 years, a bit more than 3 years, there are less and less trees because of the disease impacting the cork oak trees and the holm oak trees. And we can talk to you a lot more about it in the coming months, because it's a very, very worrying subject, and it's every day in my head on how to fight and how to take decisions that can help the land over time. So but it's true because of the temperatures and the drought in summer, there is definitely a risk of wildfire here. It's just a very different risk. One additional point that we loved and made us choose Alentejo is the landscape, because we clearly fell in love with these like rolling hills with dotted oak trees on the hills and the olive trees and this golden light, and it's something I would say, very typical of Alentejo. Whether it's Algarve or northern Portugal, the landscape is different, and we really love that. Yeah, that landscape is just so beautiful. So that was also an additional point. And then, of course, you can also say that the gastronomy and the wine are great in Alentejo. It's also an additional good point, but so far we ate great everywhere in Portugal, and we found great wines also more or less everywhere in Portugal. The other day I just had an amazing wine from Algarve when I was guiding. So yeah, it's good points, but it was not like decision-making points.
So there you have it. That is the little summary about why we chose the Alentejo region to move to in Portugal. And yeah, again, we've been here 3 years, and definitely we feel we made the right choice. We will be making a video talking more about our experience living here, more the integration, the community building, the things that are more difficult, the things that are like so amazing, blah, blah, blah. So if you have questions that you would want us to add into that video, go ahead and put them in the comments. So we hope that this is helpful for those of you who are looking to move to Portugal or are here and trying to figure out where to move. We definitely would put a little nudge in to check out the Alentejo region.
Yeah.
And also just for those of you who are interested in our processing, this video was for you. So thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.